what is the dress code of our culture, and do we need to follow it?
Again, why not? Look, in a way, all of us require some kind of identity. Look, I teach at Eton College, I wear a bow tie and all this kind of do la-di-da stuff. So we have some kind of identity issue. Now, the Hindus, because we are a very non-prescriptive religion, we do not impose certain, if you like, firm requirements for your dress code. But we do have some interesting thing. For example, on the forehead of all the people who belong to different sectarian movement, they'll put certain marks. So if you are a Vaishnavite, you might put a U sign, which means the footstep of Vishnu. If you belong to the Mother Goddess tradition, you might put a red dot in your forehead saying, I belong to the idea of ultimate reality as Mother Goddess. If you are a Shaiva tradition, you might put 3 lines across your forehead with Bhashma, and this says in a way represents the Shiva tradition. So you may in a way have some kind of identity, not in your dress code, but in the kind of the symbols that you put or the marking you put on your forehead. That's the only thing I can say. There's nothing wrong. Suppose somebody says, I like to be traditionalist and I would like to wear Indian clothes and so on. I say, go for it, my friend. But there is no, if you like, a fixed prescription that you must follow to be a Hindu. You are allowed to think for yourself and play along.
Special topic today, dress code. And as Jaibai said, there is no specific rules. But do we need identification markers? One thing, what happened with Jaibai's one of the video is somebody put it on WhatsApp saying this is a Hindu minister advising why Hinduism not taught in Indian schools. And that's gone viral on WhatsApp, and somebody's put on Facebook, and is going viral everywhere. But they are stating Jaibai as a Muslim minister in UK. And because he's no identification marker, they can, all this, are going viral. And some people do come and ask and contact us, and we have to verify that he is actually a Hindu. Do we need such identification markers? Vijay.
Hi. Hopefully you can hear me now. Yes. So very interesting topic. I think because the thing is, Indian tradition that we have, actually in the Hindu tradition as well, we have a very broad and vast, range of beliefs. And quite often people get, as Jaibai mentioned, a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, a sense of strength in the community. So they have distinct markers. They have maybe in the dress code also, on the what kind of marks they put in the forehead. I think that's a good thing if it gives them strength. And even if you don't, that's also a good thing too. It has to be very personal, right? What your choices are. But yes, quite often you have just as I'm mentioning earlier to you that today is, Ramanuja's 1,000-year celebration in India, opening his birth anniversary. And they have a very big mark on the forehead. I think it looks very nice, right, for them. It gives them a strength, and they feel that, no, I'm proud of being a follower of Ramanuja's, philosophy. And why not, and even I know that sometimes when my wife, we go out somewhere, some occasion, she's always struggling. Should I put a Gujarati sari or a South Indian sari or, Bengalis way, or I don't know, many different ways of putting on a sari. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We're very lucky to this broad and diversity of, how you dress up. And even to be frank, in the modern tradition, people wear modern clothes. And that's fine too. I think sometimes the key issue is that dress should not define you as such in that sense. But yes, it's easy, as you say, easy to find out what a person's beliefs belong to or traditions are based on what kind of markers he has. And that's a good thing as well. So I think there is no right clear answer. All I would say is that try and dress modestly and depending on the occasion as well. If you go to party, of course, you'll have party clothes. And I think we should try and stay away from this. Personally, I think we should stay away from being too much stuck into how a person dresses. I think it distracts from your true goal of spirituality. While it is just something that's the norm, right? Different ways. And it's so nice to see people dress in all these different variations of clothes. And I think that's a good thing, and we're lucky in Hinduism that, we have this broad variety of clothes. That's all I can add on to that. Sita Ben?
Yeah, no, I think you've covered it amazingly. I mean, as you were saying, it's a real sort of mark of identity. And because I studied anthropology at university, it's interesting that it doesn't have to be anything to do with religion at all. It could just be to say that you're from a particular tribe. It could be just a way of saying I'm part of this particular group. And it doesn't even have to have any sort of religious connotations. But having said that, I think the importance of putting mark on the forehead is a very sort of typically Indian or typically Hindu way of identifying your allegiance to a particular form of deity, a particular movement within Hinduism. And the mark between the eyebrows is considered extremely important because that's the point that you're supposed to focus on when you meditate. So that's why we kind of put a physical mark there as a sort of, reinforcing the importance of this particular point between our forehead. So yeah, it's really interesting. And as Vijay Bhai said, I mean, Hinduism is not prescriptive in any way. So you can choose to wear it, you can choose not to wear it. But just be proud of it when you do wear it. Don't feel shy to wear it. If you feel like you want to and you're worried what people will say, then don't feel like that. You're kind of showing your pride in your inheritance, essentially. So dress however you want, as Vijay Bhai said. Make sure it's modestly and appropriate for the occasion. And we love colour in Hinduism. So Indian clothes are extremely colourful and beautiful. So we're very lucky we've got a lot of choice.
Wonderful stuff, Seethaben. So one question is, with modernization and westernization of all over world, we've all started wearing these trousers and shirts, and it's like becoming common and same dress code for everyone. And we seem to be losing that traditional way of clothing. And especially in India, when it's quite hot, you see people still wearing full trousers, and some of them, they wear suit as well, the business people. And you think, look at where you are, and are you dressing appropriate to your climate? So what is your thought on that, Seethaben?
Yeah, I mean, we just wear whatever we feel comfortable in. I mean, it's not really appropriate to go to a business meeting in shorts, even if it's hot weather. Yeah, you have to sort of dress formally, or if you're going for something like a business meeting or whatever. But if you're going on holiday, then shorts are totally fine. And again, it's not one of those things, because we're a global village now, and we sort of all subscribe to wearing the same kind of clothes. Like, to be honest, since the pandemic, I've barely worn any Indian clothes whatsoever, because there's no Indian occasions to go to, kind of thing. So it's one of those things, and Western clothes are very comfortable. They're easy to wear, easy to look after. Whereas Indian clothes, wearing saris, and oh my goodness, it's the real headache to put them on and take them off and fold them and all of that. So in a way, they've kind of got a very practical sort of type of dress that we've all sort of adopted. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We shouldn't get too caught up in, modes of fashion and all of that. It's not about the external, it's about what's inside that's more important. So we should not lose sight of that, really. Vijay Bhai?
I think I kind of agree with Sita on this, because I think the dress is, as you said, I think society is changing all the time. New fashions are coming, new ways of dressing is coming. And Sita is right. Western clothes are very comfortable. These are the modern kind of clothes where the stitched, machine stitched, or whatever, the way they're designed to be comfortable. So it's quite the norm. I mean, to be honest, as Manish, you're right. When I go to India, I kind of wear a kurta. It's much easier, much more loose, much more thinner. It's not like a thick, like Indian UK kind of cloth. It's much more comfortable. So even if I may wear a trouser, on top of it, just a kurta is so loose and nice. So it makes sense. And you're right. I have seen some people in India who wear the proper suits. In Kutch, where it's really hot, it just doesn't make sense. But I think some people have this idea that it suit makes you feel more professional. I don't think so, but depends on the occasion, I guess. Yeah, but really, so I think you're right in that sense that many Indians feel that they're losing their sense of culture, but it's not true. I don't think you lose your culture, your beliefs just because you wear different clothes. So I think that's okay. But there are I know there's some points of debate, like I know in India there's a big debate about why do judges still wear wigs in India. It's not a colonized country anymore. So sometimes some of these symbols are very powerful. I know there's a very big group who's trying to get rid of all those black robes that they have, and these wigs they have. Even in India, they do it now because of after 75 years. And somebody feels maybe we should not have that. Maybe we should have topi or something. I don't know. But so there are some remnants, of course, of some markers which are maybe not, some people may not feel appropriate. But by and large, I think we should try and stay away from getting too obsessed with, clothing, what clothes people wear. As long as they wear something reasonable for the environment, climate, then I think it's fine. We should not really waste too much time on that. That's my personal view on that.
Saying that, Vijay Bhai, fashion is a big industry in this world. In modern times, fashion, many people follow fashions and dress as per the fashion, ongoing fashion. And you would look odd one out if you were not following a fashion. So what is your thought on fashion and fashion trends, and should one follow it? And also somebody's fashions of maybe wearing mini skirts, and that, is that appropriate? Vijay Bhai.
Again, yeah, okay. I think the thing is this. Look, I'll be honest with you. People have all kinds of dresses. Some people like mini skirts and they feel comfortable. And I don't think I'm in any position to judge them. So be it, right? I know some people say, "Oh, look at how they dress." I think there's a problem we have, because sometimes some people rather think of higher things. They focus so much on the lower things, on what people dress, and that's just. I think that's just wrong, because I know, as you said, about fashion. Like sometimes I've seen some of my family cousins, they wore this Indian soap, and this is the sari fashion now. Because some actresses wore particular sari, it becomes a main norm for the next month. Everybody wants that kind of sari of that kind of color. But what I would say is that if you wear something different from the norm, don't be ashamed. Don't feel bad about it. I mean, personally, I won't dress as a Gothic person, but I love the way a Gothic person dress. But they actually feel that, they not only stand out, but you can see somebody's got that pride in him of the way he or she dresses, despite what the norm in society is. Society may be going one way, they're happy to walk a different path. And that's not a bad thing. That's just showing that how they feel and what they feel comfortable with. All I would say is try and dress appropriately depending on the occasion. It kind of makes more sense, makes other people comfortable. That's a good idea. But by and large, I tend to stay away from this debate on what should people wear and what should. And I've seen, as I say, that's a beauty thing. That's one thing I would say very interesting I found. When you go to India, you will notice that when you walk on the streets, whether somebody is a Christian in a dress or somebody in a hijab or somebody in a sari, nobody looks at that person twice. They're so used to that. You'd be surprised in the UK people look. If somebody goes out with a hijab or dress or maybe niqab or something, people will look. In India, they don't even look second time because it's so much the norm. So you can see in India, person in a jeans, in a dress, in whatever, and everybody is quite comfortable with each other. So I think that's something we should try and aim for, not get too much obsessed. Of course, there are some reasons with sometimes you do sports. You can't do sports in a sari, right? It doesn't work. So it has to be appropriate for the occasion. Or if you go in college, the security reasons, so you only wear clothes which actually makes you feel you can recognize the person, so you feel secure. So there are some norms on how you dress, but by and large, I think dress should not be what defines you. Yeah. Asita Ben?
Yeah, I mean, every individual is different. The thing is that sometimes you get people who like to have attention and they will go out of their way to wear really wacky clothes and things like that. But somehow, if they're very sort of influential people on social media or whatever, sometimes that becomes trendy to then wear these really wacky clothes, and then that becomes the new fashion. So sometimes it's the sort of from the outskirts of society, you get some wacky idea and then it becomes a massive trend. So it depends really on your point of view, what you feel comfortable with. I think that's probably the most important thing. Just dress with whatever you feel comfortable with, and don't be so influenced by society and social pressures. For example, for teenagers, for them, they feel a great deal of pressure to maybe dress a certain way, to dress like the rest of their group. And it shouldn't really have to be that way. Just dress how you feel comfortable and display your identity in the way that suits you the most, rather than sort of being pushed about by sort of peer pressure.
Wonderful. Ali Sebastian is saying it is a natural human response. If you are proud of something, you like to show it openly to others. It's what we call tribalism. So I think if people have the freedom of expression, it's great. Saying that, some religions, like Sikhs, they wear turbans, and hijab is very popular amongst Muslims. Should Hindus have any special headgear? And what are your thoughts on this hijab and turban and headgear, Sitaben?
Yeah, I mean, you should, if you are part of that tradition, you should feel proud of it and you should wear it if you want. I mean, some religions are more prescriptive than others. For example, Hinduism doesn't say that you must dress in a certain way or you must wear something on your forehead, some kind of mark or anything like that. But other religions are more prescriptive. So you have to sort of, do what's right for you. Sometimes you may even feel pressure to wear certain kinds of clothes because it's part of your sort of religious doctrine and you're supposed to wear it. And that's one of the things, it's a difficult situation if it's more sort of stringent, because some people may not want to, and it shouldn't be such a big part of your religious injunction to dress in a certain way. So it's a bit of an ethical dilemma, but we're lucky that within Hinduism we don't have that kind of a dilemma. And I mean, if you are part of that tradition and you want to wear it and feel proud of it, then it's a symbol of your identity, your allegiance to a particular faith. And that's a wonderful thing if you're comfortable with it. But I personally feel you shouldn't pressure anybody to dress in a certain way because, that's part of their sort of religious doctrine or, injunction. I don't know what Vijay thinks.
No, I agree. I mean, looking at the Sikh clothes, they're very beautiful. And I know that even within Sikhs, if you're an ordained Sikh, you dress up differently. And it's a marker of their tradition. And I think it's a very good thing. Beautiful stuff that they do that. It gives them a sense of identity, a very powerful identity, as a matter of fact. And it's a good thing. That's all I can add on that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vijay. We got a message from Asa Satpati. She's saying, we love to wear traditional clothes in Yagna, which shows our tradition. I hardly seen anyone in shorts. Means traditional dresses have a significance. What significance like dhoti and panji sari?
Yeah.
Yes. So is there, any significance, or should we wear traditional clothes when we go to temples and do these religious ceremonies, Vijay?
I think again is part of tradition. I mean, I'm quite comfortable wearing a dhoti. I know how to tie a dhoti. I was taught at a very young age to do that because when you go into havans and pujas. But I mean, my son doesn't. He will wear his normal clothes. And I don't think any priest has complained as such. But it is nice. I think it's just to preserve tradition as such. And it's simple clothing. You see, when you wear that, at least for man, it's a simple way of dressing. One cloth to cover in the top and one dhoti. Actually feels very comfortable. Actually quite loose, funny enough, when you do havans and pujas. So it's good to maintain those traditions, I guess. And I think it's nice in that sense. And for women, especially saris as well. But I think, again, we have to be careful that this is a very, because Hinduism is an Indian religion, it's quite common among Indians to wear this kind of clothes in traditions. But remember now, Hinduism is spreading fast around the world. There are a lot of English people who are following Hinduism. There's a lot of African, people in Ghana, for example, a very big Hindu movement. They have a different tradition altogether of clothing. I think it'd be unfair to say, okay, now they must wear dhoti. It doesn't work like that. So there's good things in that, but also we should be very careful that the Hinduism is far more broad and far more vast. And we want the whole world to accept these ideas, and they will dress as per their cultural norms. Yes. So I'm happy with the dhoti. I love it, but in pujas but I mean not necessarily for everyone. Sita.
Yeah, speaking of dhotis, my dad used to just wear it around the house, especially when it's like a really hot day or whatever. Like, if he's just at home, he'll just wear that. And I've kept a few of them, and I think it's a wonderful way of sort of linking back with tradition as well as memory as well. Just having that memory of that person wearing that particular item of clothing, it's a wonderful link back to that person. So there's not just tradition, but there's also the personal memories that get attached to certain items of clothes, which is just really wonderful, and it makes it much more treasured. And like, for example, Uma plays with his dhoti, like she'll sit on it as a mat and do her painting on it. So it's a nice way of sort of incorporating sort of dad's memories into what we're doing. So clothes are a wonderful sort of medium for transferring memories and treasured memories and that kind of thing.
Wonderful stuff. That's so nice to hear, Sitabin. KG from Japan, Tokyo, where it's midnight, is sending this message. He's saying, I was pulled into Sanatan Dharma because of Mr. Lakhani. I'm a big fan of all the knowledge that he left behind, including the Hindu Academy. So wonderful to hear your comment, KG, and hope you continue to follow, watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and send us the questions. And good luck with your spiritual journey. We have another comment from Being Hindu saying speeches of Lakhanisar about Mother Kali can easily initiate devotion towards Mother Kali. Any comment on that, Sitaben, these two?
Yeah, I think especially because Mother Kali was the sort of object of devotion for Sri Ramakrishna, who was Dad's spiritual guide and mentor. It just kind of brings to life, because up until the life of Sri Ramakrishna, nobody, I don't think there was anyone in history who has recounted a spiritual experience with the Mother Goddess Kali. And to have someone from very recently, literally just 100, 150 years ago, who was able to see the living, breathing Mother Goddess Kali and have such vivid sort of, experiences with her. Like, he was chatting with her, he was, had such a close interaction with the Mother Goddess in this way, really sort of brings her to life. And, the kind of devotion that you had, which, may have just been restricted to a statue or an image, is now really brought to life through the story of Sri Ramakrishna. And if anybody has sort of seen Dad's sort of recount of Sri Ramakrishna's life on YouTube, that's a wonderful way of sort of getting an understanding of the Mother Goddess Kali and how she's a real personality. And if you love her, you will be able to see her in the same way that Sri Ramakrishna did. So it's just really exhilarating. Vijay Bhai?
I think, Sita, you've pretty much covered it very well. Not much more to add on that. But yes, I think Mother Kali, actually, all over India, you'd be surprised, Mother Kali is worshipped. I think quite often, because there have been so many negative connotations in the West, in the movies, people see it as negative. But Ma Kali is a very powerful force. I mean, kind of a very nice way to also worship and have devotion towards her, just as Ramakrishna Paramahansa did. So yeah, I mean, if you like that form of Mother Goddess, well, please go ahead, and show devotion to her.
We got a question from Ali Sebastian. She's saying, what are some of the very subtle ways you can signify you are Hindu when not from Asian demographic, where certain clothing may stand out more? Vijay Bhai?
Okay, it's an interesting question. What I would say is that I know that a lot of Hindus who are kind of Hindu, but they're not living in a Western world, they kind of do a halfway house. They will wear like wear a kurta on top with jeans, right? That's it's kurta is Indian, right? Or wear some sort of beads, or beads from natural seeds like tulsi or rudraksh. And that's one way of wearing Western clothes. Yet you can see easily that that person is most likely Indian. Not necessarily because Gothic people, a lot of Western also wear this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's quite often you've seen that. I've seen some people carrying an Indian bag. I mean, we have so many Indian bags with Indian, markings and mirrors and whatever. And actually, even I carry them. I think some people say it's a bit girly, but I don't really mind. So it's quite nice to wear. So these are kind of external markers, subtle markers that many Hindus wear. I mean, I have some kurtas which are not like long. They look like shirts, but you can know from the shirt that okay, this is a kind of Indian dressing, halfway house. I guess that's one way. I mean, tricky question. I don't know, Sita, can you add more on that?
Yeah, no, I think also some people, they have the sacred thread ceremony. So sometimes if they've had it, they've got the thread going from the left shoulder. So you may be able to see that, a little bit under the shirt to sort of signify that they've had that ceremony. Or sometimes, for example, during the time around Raksha Bandhan, which is during the summer, girls tie a thread around the wrist of the brother to symbolize protection. So usually around that time of year, you see a lot of Hindu boys with sort of threads around their right wrist. And again, that's a sort of sign that, they're probably Hindu and they've done the Raksha Bandhan ceremony. And it's one of those things actually, because it's not restricted to boys anymore. So girls can give girls Raksha Bandhan as well. There's no sort of injunction like that. So these are sort of subtle signs. And as Vijay Bhai said, sometimes you may wear a necklace. Like my grandma always wore a necklace with the Mother Goddess on it. So regardless of what you're wearing, you have these small little sort of gestures to show that you are Hindu.
Sita Ben, some married women, they apply sindoor and therefore in their head, and they also wear Mangal Sutra. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. They're both sort of invested to you when you get married, and you know your husband applies sindoor for the first time, and you are given sort of Mangal Sutra, which sort of symbolizes that you're a married woman. And it's a beautiful gesture just to show that you know you've had that transition in your life from being, you know, a young girl to a married woman, and it's a way of identifying yourself as being a married woman in the same way that you get a wedding ring in Western culture as well. But yeah, it's one of those things though, when you sort of get to that point where, for example, your husband passes away or whatever, there shouldn't be any sort of stigma associated with it. Unfortunately, in Hindu society, there's a lot of stigma around widows and you know people whose husbands have passed away. There's certain rituals that they're not allowed to take part in. They're not allowed to, you know, have the sindoor or wear the Mangal Sutra. They're not supposed to wear colourful clothes. And I think that's completely outrageous. It's really outdated. There was a, you know, a taboo around widows that they're inauspicious and all of this. And it's completely ridiculous and it needs to be got rid of because they are Shakti, they are a manifestation of the mother goddess, whatever happens to them in their life. And they should be allowed to carry on as normal, wear colourful clothes and still be part of society. Vijay Bhai? Oh, you're on mute.
I think the key issue, as you say, is it marks a big transition in life. I mean, a wedding ceremony is a very big thing in anybody's you know life or spiritual journey. So in effect, the markers that you have Sindhu and Sindur and Mangalsutra, it's a big thing because it reminds you of that very big phase in your life. And I also agree with Sita that if in the future it happens that say your husband passes away, that mark doesn't go away. You still had that wonderful journey, yes, with him, and that was a big phase in your life. So why should you remove it? It should not be. That is something even I find it very hard to see in the society. That quite often you see that widows are restricted, and that should not be the case. There should be equal members of society participate in all the events that any normal person does. So I mean, it doesn't take a person's spirituality in any sense. Yeah. So I think that's something that Asita mentions. Some things we need to move on and change, basically. Yeah.
Fabulous. So what an interesting topic.